Basically, human rights is based on the dignity of a human being, and that you need to uphold at all times. You have to treat human beings uh, with dignity, and whether they are men, women, children, then you have of various sexes, that is transgender, whatever may be the orientation, everybody has to be treated like a human being. Okay. Now, our organization deals with women. The focus is on women, but that does not mean we do not talk about the human rights of human beings. But I will focus on the issues that our organization has taken up. Uh, Whenever there are problems relating to women, there are issues relating to women, they come to Bailan Assad. Bailan Assad is a women's collective, and most often we see that there are violation of human rights. Okay, as I said, anything that violates the dignity of a human being. We have the Human Rights Charter. Now we have a lot of laws which are based on the Human Rights Charter, and but they are there, the laws are there, but when it comes to implementation, it is very, very poor. And so this fight continues all the time. Take for example, we had, I'll just talk about some of the recent cases which we've handled where there have been human rights violation. So we had this case of a woman going to the police station to ask why they had gone to her house to with summons, where her teenage daughter was alone at home and she was at work, and they had gone with summons in a case where the case was already closed. Now, because she questioned the police got angry and they arrested her and they put her in prison. They beat her up. Then they didn't tell her she was arrested. Now she's a patient. She has various medical conditions. She was not allowed medicines. Then she was not allowed to call home, and uh, then they had to send her for medical. So that medical also they didn't send her. What happened? Because she was not getting medicine, she had to try various things. First, she started screaming, then shouting, then she started banging her head on the what you call it, the bars, iron bars, and till she couldn't, still her medicine was not given to her. She was asthmatic, and then when she was protesting, they started abusing her. They gave her bad words, and the woman was forced in for to kind of remove her clothes just to get her medicine, like, and under protest, like she said, I will do this, I will do that. Nothing worked, and then she was forced into that situation. So this kind of human rights violation took place. Now then she was sent for medical. Now she refused. She was saying, I was so traumatized, and then when she went to the hospital, outside the hospital she was beaten up by the cops. Now these are clear violation of human rights. Then the police tried to cover up. They made the arrest, whatever procedures had to be done, and they made lots of mistakes because they showed arrest. One, it was after sunset. Then you have to take permission from the magistrate to arrest a woman. They had not taken permission. They had already arrested her. Then they show on records that they have taken permission from the magistrate. These are all fabrications that took place. Now, the one is the violation that took place. The second is, where do you go for redressal? And there was a complete failure of the redressal system. First of all, you needed someone to bail her out, and someone who is vulnerable, who is a single woman and having a child with no financial support, who is supposed to bail the person out. The judge should have asked for a free legal aid lawyer for her. So no free legal aid lawyer was provided to her, and she was there. And it's only because her daughter contacted advocate Caroline and some other help. That's how some help was arranged and she was released from the prison. After she came out from jail, she till today, now this is like 2-3 years, she's struggling to get justice. She's appealed to the Human Rights Commission, she went to the National Human Rights Commission, then because it was a police brutality, she went to the public authorities that which was responsible for the police, and she filed cases in the court, and she's been struggling and struggling, but she has got no justice. Okay, and there's a complete failure of the justice redressal system. The Human Rights Commission didn't have a chairperson, the state public authority, they also didn't have a chairperson, so the systems have become defunct. So how do you get justice? So there are human rights violations taking place, but there is no redressal mechanism which is there, and that is the status of many women. We had another case, and incidentally now this matter was related to a matter of rape, okay, because she was a rape victim, and her case is going on, and what is happening is, while she was accessing justice, the summons were not being issued to the accused. So she was questioning the police why the summons were not given to the accused. Now because of that, the police had a grouse, and so there were these human rights violations that happened. It happened continuously, and like normally you feel that when you go to an institution, any institution which is there, which is supposed to give you justice, at every stage justice was denied to her. Okay, now what is the impact? When a person who doesn't get justice, you don't expect that person to be, take everything lying down. There are some people who will cry and then will be quiet and kind of hide from society. But there are some women who will not keep quiet, and they will go to any extent. We say we don't care anyway, so much of violation has been done, and so they will go all out to fight the system, and then so she becomes the bad woman. Okay, so that is the state of human rights right now. Then we had another case. Another case was again this girl, which, and again we are still fighting that case, wherein she used to go to college, and in their area there is no transport. So being coming from a poor family, if there are no bus system, you just have to take lift from anyone who is going to that institution. And now taking a lift and going with someone was seen as a woman of not good character. Okay, so there was this whole character assassination against this girl, and then so much so that and she used to come from a vulnerable family. She didn't have a toilet in her house. She used to go to the forest to relieve herself. Once she had two fellows following her, and they happened to be from the police department, so she complained against them. Now she complained against them. Then there was somebody else from the village who was trying to assault her or whatever. She complained against them. Now and some of them were connected to political people, so they are the powerful lot. So this whole tirade against her started, and one fine day they came and they beat up the girl. She was beaten up on the road and she was unconscious, and no one even called the ambulance. And then one of her friends saw and called the ambulance, and then she was taken to GMC. When she came home, her house was completely damaged. Okay, they had damaged her house. Now there may be other interest in the property. As I said, it could be, see what happens if there are issues like property matters or some other issues. When a woman is involved, then they try to sexually assault her. Okay, and that's why we say why women's rights are human rights. So there may be any other economic issues, there may be social issues, political issues, but when a woman is involved, they will see that she is that there is sexual assault, there is abuse, there is even physical assault. and this kind of violation took place. So this whole group of villagers came and they broke her house. Now there was so much of connivance of the political setup that the Thalati from that area writes a letter to the Mamladar saying that the house is in dilapidated condition. Okay, then the Mamladar writes to the owners. They were living in this long chawl which belonged to someone. They had no issues with that, uh, telling them to evict them. Okay, because the house is dilapidated. Now you tell me, when a house is broken down, or if it is there is a storm taking place, or there is some natural calamity that takes place, aren't people repairing their houses? So why wasn't this girl and family allowed to repair the house? Okay, no notice came. Today they send a notice that tomorrow morning you have to evict from that house, and they send a message to the Mamladar. The Talati sends a report to the Mamladar. Mamladar sends a report, tells the PW to give a report, and report is very kacha, no, weak structure, and something about the what do you call it, patra on the top of the house. Now that house we have seen, the other houses nobody is staying, so they are unkempt, but these people are staying in that house. Their walls are quite thick. It's the olden day structure, and it's just ground floor only, and the roof they have the thatch. So the villagers had removed the roofing of that house. Now it is just a question of putting the thatch and for them to live, but they didn't do so. Then they write to the company who owns the place, and because they were staying there for 23 years, and they send eviction notice. And the next day, the day of the eviction, you have a busload of police, you have the Mamladar, you have the Thalati, you have all the administrative people, the whole setup to evict this girl and her father. And mind you, both her parents have disabilities. One father is blind. They also he also met with an accident. The legs are injured, and she had a minor brother at that time. And the case is registered against the girl. Now you tell me, when it is in the house, if you look at normal setup, the house, the where they were staying is was in name of the father because he was working for that company. Why should an eviction notice come to the girl? The elders in the house is the father. The house was given to the father. Why should the daughter get a notice of eviction? So all notices are against the girl. Okay, and then she has complained. She registered complaints at the police station. No action has been taken at the police station. But the day when they were evicting her, the Mamladar files a case against both the mother and the daughter, saying they are resisting the authority. Okay, the term was that they were resisting, but then in the thing they wrote that they are abusing or something. They made a complaint in such a way, and they were arrested and put in jail. They were in this jail, Kolwale jail. Someone who is suffering, there is a disaster that has happened. Instead of helping the person, you have this complete violence taking place against them. They were beaten up by the police, and they were not even allowed to call a lawyer. Now, and they didn't tell her, they dragged them and put them in the van, and they were taking somewhere. They didn't tell them where they're taking. Then they said they're taking for medical, but saying, then the girl, what she did, when she was being taken in a vehicle, she put half her body out. Okay, and she was screaming on the road. So when people started looking, what is happening and all that, and her minor brother is at home, and the father is cannot see in one eye, and plus he's injured. So then they stopped, and then they told her, where you at least let the brother know. They said they're taking her to the police station. Somebody said they're taking her for medical. They didn't tell anything. They did not. So we are talking about human rights. There are procedures. Even if you're arrested, there are procedures. You have to go take the person to the police station. You have to allow her to call a lawyer. If they don't have a lawyer, you should allow them a free legal aid lawyer. Nothing of that sort was done. They were put in jail, and then once they were in, then this minor son, brother who was at home, he ran around, and she arranged for a lawyer. They had to sell And these people are poor, nobody is earning, and it's like daily wage, whatever they are getting, they are earning. So they are in the clutches of people. Like now, to put them out of bail, they have to take a loan. They have to pawn this girl, they had to pawn one gold chain they had, that they had to pawn, and they released. And now matter is going on. And then they evicted that girl and put her in, they said, we are evicting you under disaster management, okay? And they house them in a government primary school. Now all her things which are there, they removed it and they put them in a government primary school. Now, how can you do that? You have a house, you are staying in a house, you have to help the person to, if you are doing disaster management, your job is to see that the house is put back in shape. Your job is not to evict them and then you say fend for yourself. They never put in that school, all their half their, as it is, they're poor, their belongings were robbed. So they lodged a complaint about their belongings not being there. That also was not, nothing was done. Okay, so someone took a bird and something that they did, and they had to start from scratch. And as an organization now, we have to look, because when you displace someone from one area to the other, from where are you going to earn? Because you have to earn your livelihood, so you are displacing them from your livelihood. This is also again a violation of human rights, because when a lady goes and she's working in someone's house earning her livelihood, when you come to a new place you have to look for a thing. And this girl was doing her home nursing, her education was spoiled. They didn't take her back because everywhere that news spread about this. So there was like so much of violation. Then when they were in that, they brought her in that school, and then without notice they are telling her next day you have to leave that house. Now when you are telling them to move, you have to give notice. They said we'll put you in some other rehabilitation in another school. They got a letter from the collector. Now the people from down, see this whole offices, no, from the Talati to the Mamladar, deputy collector, it's a whole process. And all along they have written lies. The collector doesn't know. They are giving orders based on what the people, officers at the lower level are reporting. And they said you're giving them a school. No name of the school was given. Nothing. That's when they came to Bailan. So when this incident happened, we were not in the picture, but we came. And we filed a case in the Human Rights Commission. So Human Rights Commission, by then the chairperson was, in the previous case there was no chairman, but now there was a chairperson by then that was appointed, and we got relief that they had asked for eviction the next day from this place where they had rehabilitated. There they stopped. Okay, so they said we will give you time. I said give them in writing where they will go. You have taken them, they can go back to their own house. Why you want to shift them to another? So they gave 3 days or 4 days notice, and then because they knew now last time they were beaten and put in prison. Okay, and here the entire machinery is against them. So where do they go? In the family of 4. So then they have to arrange transport, they have to do. So they arrange one pickup something, and they put them in another government primary school in Sarmanas. Again, there is a relocation which has taken place. So they have destroyed her education, they have destroyed her livelihood, because you are not able to earn your livelihood now. That is what happened. Now, while they were there, again the same thing happened. While the matter is happening in the Human Rights Commission, again these people passed an order saying that they have to be out. And before we knew what was happening, they have taken the family out and again issued an order, tomorrow you have to vacate. And vacate and go where? They have not told. They said they are going to put them in some old age home, and they were taken, and these young people, the girl was put in an old age home with the mother, and the son was put in an old age home in another place. Now, and her belongings which are there were there in that school where she is rehabilitated. Now, when you are rehabilitating, this is disaster management. Under disaster management, you are not rehabilitating from one dilapidated structure, they have put into another dilapidated structure, and now another dilapidated structure, and then they are putting them in a home. So, when you are doing disaster management, again, disaster management, you have to take care of people's human rights. Where is it? Where is the home? Where is the house for these people? And what you are doing, you are further violating the rights of the person. So then again we had to go to the Human Rights Commission, and they said that we had to go to the collector. We were sitting put at the collector's office to get order after order, and they were just not interested. Then you only have allowed, push them out of the house. So your responsibility was to give them the shelter. No, her house, she didn't say she wanted to leave. She would have repaired and stayed, and you should take action against the people who have broken her house. So system is not on the side of the woman. Okay, and if you are powerful people, somebody who has an eye on that property, somebody, because to me it looks that they were eyeing her property, that because that place is a row thing, and when you evict people, then they can build something over there. So that something that must be there like that. But till today, they are. Then when they put them in the old age home, again, we petitioned to the collector and we wrote to the Human Rights Commission also. How are these young people going to learn and earn? By putting in old age home, they may get their food, and there they were no clothes were given to them, and for 3-4 days they were without same clothes they were. Then we had to send some clothes for this girl. Now you are doing rehabilitation. What is this? And that school, which she was put in another dilapidated school at Sarmanas. Now that school it was leaking, the beams were broken and all. And every time we wrote letters saying that, no, we will repair. The rains came, that storm came, Taukte storm came, that whole thing went off. We asked for donation from people, and we got one tarpaulin to put. Then there was no ration. And COVID times, no food, you can't go out to work. So COVID times also, the violation was no food was reaching there. So we had to organize ration and things like that. And then whenever people came to help them, they would have a problem. Now government, they were giving some, during those initial lockdown, they were serving cooked food and all. Then suddenly it stopped. So when I called up, they said, no, we were told not to go to that school and give them food. So we are depriving them of food also, even in times of pandemic and crisis. Crisis is a time when you have to help you. And so this is going on, and the matter is still going on. So the matter is in the Human Rights. In fact, it was there on 17th. The case was at Human Rights. Then the matter was there in the Bicholi court, that now that they were beaten, put in the jail, that matter is going on Bicholi court. So they have filed a case against her. The Mamladar has filed a case against her. People come to her house and break her house. She's beaten on the road. She's put on the hospital. But no cases are on them, but the cases are on these people. See, positive thing that we saw in that, say, previous, in this case which I was narrating, is when Human Rights Commission did stop the eviction the previous day. Okay, so now what happens when we talk about human rights violation? There are incidents and incidents and incidents. Okay, so if there are 10 incidents and you have 10 complaints, maybe in 1-2 complaints you will get some hope. So that little hope is there in if the institutions are functioning. Now, but it doesn't happen. Now we have another case, say Vaishali's case. On her house, a tree fell and it broke. Okay, and then she was rehabilitated at in the government quarters at Mapsa. Now, in this case, yes, they did rehabilitation under disaster management, and they said you have to file a you can approach and get the house repaired. House is broken. Okay. But what do? When she applies for permission to repair the house, they deny her the NOC because her husband has not signed the papers. Now, she has, there was a matter between her and the husband, and in the Domestic Violence Act, under Domestic Violence Act, an order was passed that he should not do anything to deprive her residence in that house, and he has to pay maintenance. Okay. Now, when the court order very clearly says that he should not do anything that will deprive her of the house, obviously he has to allow the house to be repaired. Okay, and in Goa we have equal property rights. The wife and the husband have equal property rights. So when a wife who has equal property rights, writes to the panchayat to issue an NOC to repair the house, the panchayat refuses. Why? Because the man has not signed. So the law is on the woman's side because she has equal rights. But why do you need the signature of the man? And when the man applies for repair, they don't say give your signature of the wife. Signature of the wife is not required. So very clearly there is a violation taking place over here. Okay, and then now they want to. So they have stalled her. She cannot repair the house. She cannot go back to the house. And this side, she's getting notices to go back. She's been given a place for under rehabilitation, and notices are coming from collector. Notices that last notice she got from the police, from the department which had I think water resource department which had given her the waters. And then because she's not moving, because she's then we put in a letter at the Human Rights Commission, because what they did was they stopped the water. Okay, then how many complaints she has given? They are not restoring. All the people in that, those who are in the quarters are getting water, only she doesn't get water. So they wanted to harass her to leave. Okay, now she has 2 kids. Where will she? And they want her to leave. Where will she go? And she also doesn't have a steady job. She does on as and when whatever job she gets, she does. She's a home nurse, whatever. So now we are stuck at the Human Rights Commission. Now the other day there was an order which says that she has to vacate, but because she has filed in the Human Rights Commission, she sent a copy to the collector, so it was stalled. So this small relief you do get in terms if there is some institution that is present. But now as a woman her right is violated. She has a right to shelter. She should be allowed to repair her house. The laws say so, but the rights are being violated, and now she's without shelter, and right to shelter is a human right. We had another case of a girl. I'm giving you different scenarios where we can see the human rights violation. A young girl, now she has been induced into drugs and sexual activity, and in the rural areas this has become very strong. Okay, school going minors this is. So what happens, because they come from poor families, they are not able to feed the drug addiction. So they are pushed into sexual activity so that they are able to feed the addiction. Now the mother has been complaining to the police station. They are not doing anything because they don't want to touch the people who are selling drugs, because that's where the money comes in, and people who are into prostitution. So from last year onwards, during the lockdown, this has happened. We are talking about COVID times. COVID times, there has been maximum violation of rights as far as women are concerned. You can't go to the police station. There is a lockdown. You can't go out. There's no transport. Still, she has reported. Nothing was done, and it's back to square one. And now when the mother, she didn't come home for 8 days. These boys have taken her, and they just come and take her, and there's no control. So when she reported to the police, and that this girl was being housed at somebody's house, the police went and brought her, and what do? Beat her up. A minor who's 15, 16-year-old, you are beating her up. She herself is a victim, and you're beating the victim because they wanted the names of the boys who had taken them. So again, there is human rights violation. We are talking about now women. We are talking here about minors. So instead, and they said, we heard that they had registered a case of gang rape against her or whatever, against the accused. But it was pressure was put, and nothing happened. They didn't take the girl for medical examination. Or when the mother is saying that the child is into because some substance abuse, they should have sent her for medical test immediately. They didn't send her for test because different drugs have different lifespan, which they show in the results. Okay, so they have not sent her for test. They have not sent her for medical examination for sexual assault. Now, when you are not doing your procedures, how will you get justice? So all that we managed to do is put her in some under care. We approached the child welfare committee and sought protection and care for this girl. But in terms of your violations that have taken place as far as this girl is concerned, nothing has been done. We've written to the DGP, we went to the press, nothing has happened. So where is the justice? So and because the systems are not addressing, crimes against women are increasing day by day, and everybody is emboldened. Okay, they are emboldened. They normally, when the fear of the law and the police was there, things are under control. There is absolutely no fear of the law or the police. You can just see that nothing is happening. Our cases are there now. One case we have of our own person. Uh, she was assaulted, molested on the road, and her bangle was robbed. They took so long to register an FIR, but nothing has been done. Now I think it will be a year. I mean, so many months have passed. This being of an organization, I'm talking about someone from the organization was assaulted, and the police are not doing anything. And now what is happening is, because elections are coming, they do not want to register any case. Oh, there are lots of violations of rights. I just gave you example of a lady, then a young a girl who's a major, okay, but a young unmarried girl. Then I gave you an example of a minor, okay. I gave you an example of that Dalit woman whose house was broken. And sometimes there is a human rights violation done at a community level. And we had an issue which had to be dealt very sensitively, and we did meet with with success. There is this traditional practice that when a woman dies, that she is disrobed and kept on the funeral pyre. Now that has been a practice, and it happens for both men and women. But when there are violations taking place, we are talking about human rights, means upholding the dignity of the human being, whether it is a man or a woman. Now what happened was, when it came to women, okay, especially with the two incidents came to came to our organization, brought by the men themselves, is that there was this young couple who got married. The wife died, okay, during childbirth. She was a young woman. Her pictures were, when the funeral pyre was taking place, they took photos and were circulating on WhatsApp. Okay. Then we had another case wherein, but it was like that of a grandmother who, one of our members' son had to do the last rite, and he was so shocked because he had to see his grandmother without clothes. So it has been like very traumatic experience. And another 2-3 incidents like this, and so we were wondering, now this is a traditional practice of certain communities. Now how do we intervene? And then we took up this issue and we started talking to community leaders. We spoke to people, especially the younger generation. They felt very strongly that we should at least put a white cloth when we are doing the when the cremation takes place. Thereafter, we approach social organizations, people of that particular community, that can't you introduce this? And we got a lot of support. Then we went to the government offices like social welfare and department, and there also they said yes, even we being educated and we are being in such high post, but when it comes to cremation, we also have to go through the same process. And then we had someone saying that whole life we are fighting for women's right, protect the dignity of women, and if somebody pulls the dress and something, we are protesting and taking action. But when a dead woman doesn't have who is there to defend her, and whole life she's kind of lives in dignity, and then when she's dead, you are treating her so badly. So what we took up, then we took the matter up. We went to the religious heads also. We went to that Mutt and the Swami and all, because see, this is a very sensitive issue when it comes to community feeling. And we got a lot of positive vibes, saying go ahead and do it. And then we wrote to the Human Rights Commission saying that this violates the dignity of women. Basically, human rights is about the dignity of a human being. And here she's a woman and you are violating her dignity in that. And this practice should be stopped. that at least a cloth should be put, and if anything like normally they bathe the body and all that should be done in private, and in at public places, that is at crematoriums, no way the person should be disrobed at public places. And we took the stand that crematoriums are public spaces. They are run by, say, the panchayat. Look, they are under panchayat, municipality and all. So the human rights took it up seriously. They sent notices to all the panchayats and municipalities to give a report on what is the status. Now, one good thing that happened was many of them didn't want to get involved in this, so they just wrote, "We are not aware" or something. But wherever there were women, they sent the real picture. They said, yes, this has happened. And of course, there are some young panchayats member where people are involved. They sent a report, they sent a factual report, and they said that this incident happened, and we were shocked to see the WhatsApp, pictures of this. One young girl had died. Her pictures, nude pictures were circulating. So once that report came in from the municipality, from Ponda municipality, that this practice is very much prevalent, then the Human Rights Commission directed all the municipalities and the corporation under whose jurisdiction the crematoriums are, that you will not allow disrobing of women in public. And so that was a very successful thing which has happened. And of course, implementation takes time. But those who wanted to stop this are using that order to stop this disrobing of women in public. So it is very encouraging. In fact, one youth group sent us a message saying that one girl had died of cancer. 17-year-old girl had died of cancer, and they wanted to disrobe her. So the boys of the village stopped it. And what happens in the crematorium, only the men go. Okay, so they were the ones who were protecting the dignity of that girl. So somewhere, we have been able to involve the community and stop this indignity done to women. So both the institution and the community, along with the organization, I think when there is a coordinated effort, I'm sure we can uphold the human rights of people. My question is, why do we have to fight for our human rights? It is there in the law. We should get it as a matter of right. See, we all need to do our bit. If we want to talk of a better society, we want to live in a better society, so we have to work to see that it is a better society. Okay, and so whatever ills that are there facing the society, we have to work to get rid of it. And we are aware that this is happening, we don't like it, so we have to work for a society which we want.